My name is Abdur Razzak. I am from Perth, born in Perth, grew up here in Perth. I grew up in a Christian family, but I was always thinking of something different. When I was small, I used to live over here in Queen's Park, not far from where the Canning Masjid is situated. I used to walk down the road there with my sister back in the 50s, and we used to look at the sky and we'd see the stars and we'd say, whoever created the stars is so great. And that is how I went through my life. I was not that interested in religion, but I did believe that there was a God. Then, as my lifetime went through, I was working all over the place, up in the country, and I joined the army back in 1963. I joined the army for 6 years. My army life took me to Malaysia. When I was in Malaysia, I became an interpreter. And I used to work amongst the villages. I used to take a doctor, and sometimes we used to go out with the padre. First one was to help treat sick people. The second one was that you touch on the Christian religion. I was there and I used to look and wonder that the people there in Malaysia, the Muslim, they had a very close, harmonized life. They were so close that it reminded me of my childhood when I was living in the country. But as time went by, this style of life left me. And I could see this life reappearing again in amongst these village people. And I used to wonder, what are we doing here for? Why are we trying to change these people from what they have got in Islam? Love, affection, kindness. And we are trying to introduce something to them which we cannot even understand ourselves. So then as time went by in learning the Malay language, there was a man in Malaysia and he gave me a small booklet. And it was about the soul, the journey of the soul. I used to look at it, but being a soldier, I had other interests which was not very even good to talk about. So as I read the book, touched on little bit by little bit, I came back to Australia, and then I went to Vietnam. My job in Vietnam was as a salt pioneer. I used to learn to act with explosives. I used to work in the tunnels. I was an infantier. And as soon as we had a tunnel complex, my job was then to put in charges and blow the tunnels, go down the tunnels, see if there's anything in there, and I was the section commander. One day we was working and there was a New Zealand army, they hit a big bunker system, big tunnel system. And my section was called up to bring resupply of ammunition. So when I got up there, there was a person beside me who was brought beside me, and there was quite a lot of fire going on. And I said to him, we have to get out of here. I touched that person and he fell in front of me and he had 3 bullet holes in the chest. I looked at that person and he looked so young. He was a new person from New Zealand. His name was Donnie Benziman. I looked at him and I thought, now here's a man who looks so young, so strong. But this life has been taken. This road that I'd read about in this book that it was given to me in Malaysia. So after serving there, and also we had to winch the bodies out. My job was to cut a hole in the canopy of the jungle. They brought in a helicopter. We had to harness the body up and they used to winch it out. And as the body was winching out, it was swaying and I could feel fluid coming on me. I used to have nightmares about this and it used to play in my mind. But I could not take my mind off of what I'd read in that book about the spirit, the soul of man. So I came back to Australia, took my discharge from the army, and at that time I did not know anything that there was Islam in Perth. when I was a kid, I grew up in a place called East Perth. There was a mosque down the road. I used to play around that mosque, but I did not know at that time. I used to poke my head in the door and give cheek to the people sitting at the back of the mosque. But I did not know that it was a mosque. All I could see was some of these funny men sitting there with beards, and I think they were some of the Afghans in the early days. And I used to make fun of them. Never knowing one day that I'd finish up in that mosque praying. But Allah is great. Allah gives hidayah to whoever He wishes. So, when I went back into Malaysia to embrace Islam, I had to learn to read Quran. I went to a place and I sat with children, and they taught me in Malay, alif di atas a, alif di bawah e, alif depan u, a, e, u, and I learnt the alphabet. Then I came back to Australia after about 3 months in 1969, and I used to sit at night time with a candle till 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to join these letters, how to read Quran. At that time I found out where the mosque was, but there was nobody in the mosque. We used to go for Jum'at, sometimes we'd only pray Zuhur, because there was not enough people. This did not worry me at the time. As I gradually learned to read Quran, I did not know I was reading it correctly or not, because there was no ustaz, there was no teacher or anything. I was doing it on my own. Then I started looking into the Quran in the translation. And it dawned on me that this Islam, what a great thing it would be for the people here. Also for all mankind. But I was thinking of the people here, because this is where I was from. This is where I originated from in my lifetime. And I used to think, it is such a nice law, if it is brought to the people properly. It is fair, it is just. It is harsh, but its harshness is what people do harsh to the people. And sometimes if a law is implemented properly, I used to realize that people would do no sin because they would fear Allah. And it would, the wickedness would come less. So I used to think, how can this message be brought to the people? And I got involved in different movements. There was a movement came here in 1974. It was called Tabligh Jama'at. I went to India for 4 months to learn how to invite people, to approach people. I had a misconcept with this work because it is saying that you go to your own backyard first. You clean up your own backyard. And I do understand that we have to love our brothers, because it is said that you have not Iman until you desire for your brothers what you desire for yourself. And I got involved of going around knocking on the doors of the Muslim brothers, inviting them to come to the mosque. There were 3 of us used to do this work. But then it seemed to come as a stop. We wasn't reaching out to all people. There were some people embracing Islam because they've seen our actions. But there was still something lacking. I thought if we could implement the Islamic law into a society, the laws of if a person gets raped, if a person steals, if they commit bad things against a society, by introducing the Islamic law to the people, this would go less. But to me, this was hard work, and it would be a work of abuse. You'd get so much problems, and maybe I was not ready with the strength to take on this job. Because I found by even going to Muslim brothers, I used to get insulted. To say, Alhamdulillah, we believe in the kalima la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Inshallah, brothers, come to the mosque so we can pray together in Jama'at to receive 27 times more reward. And they used to say, go away, we're not interested in this. And I thought, why aren't we as Muslims interested anymore in this? I think it was because there was an amount of shyness that I've come to live in a different society, so I have to give everything up. And I have to join the society that I come to live. I could never think like that. I was Muslim, I was living amongst my own people, it was non-Muslim, but I was not going to give up what I believed in. And I've always been there.